here at Middle Tennessee State University. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Welcome into Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We are here for Blue Raider Football Media Day. We're out here on the practice field just outside of Johnny Red Floyd Stadium, and you can see, pardon our mess is probably the theme here on campus right now, because there is a lot going on as you look out at the football stadium, as you look over toward Murphy Center from our vantage point here at the Greenland Drive practice field at MTSU. And again, Media Day here today, and we are going to get right into our show because our first guest has a short window. Tight window, which he was used to throwing into during his days as a quarterback here at Middle Tennessee State. Jeff Murphy of Group of Five Guys joining us. The preeminent Group of Five media source?
I like to think so. We try to be the voice of the Group of Five football programs that the mainstream media refuses to do. That's our mission.
And but not Main Street media.
Not Main Street.
Okay.
Mainstream. ESPN,
CBS,
Mainstream.
Fox is no, that's good. That's
absolutely.
We can now proceed accordingly.
Enunciate.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Jeff, I mean, having played at a Group of Five school, obviously you're kind of uniquely equipped and invested, I guess, in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we got done playing, me and a couple of my former teammates, we always just kind of felt like, Middle Tennessee, Conference USA, just the Group of Five in general really didn't get the amount of coverage that they deserve. ESPN, CBS, they do a fine job, but all they really talk about is the same 4 to 8 teams pretty much every show. And there's tons of great football players that played at Middle Tennessee throughout the Group of Five that are NFL Hall of Famers, legends, great current players right now. So there's no reason that the Group of Five doesn't deserve the same love as the quote-unquote Power Four now.
Yeah, and with the shifting sands of college football and that kind of thing, bringing a light to that level, that faction of college football becomes even more important, I would think.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, the way that things are kind of going in college football seems like it's getting narrowed down to 2 big conferences. And depending on how big those conferences get, like you're eliminating more than half of college football that's not going to be in the conversation. So, the Group of Five deserves and needs a voice, and that's what we try and do.
You guys try and provide that voice. I guess I'm curious, first off, about your process, because even within that kind of a niche market, you still got to kind of show love equally. So how do you kind of go about that and kind of dictate that to make sure everybody kind of gets a fair shake?
Yeah, I mean, we try to be as unbiased as we can, but I think everyone knows that listens and watches our shows. We're Middle Tennessee homers.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, there's such good football across all the 5 conferences, and we just really try and, we travel the country. We go to different campuses, check out their tailgates, check out their game atmosphere, really try and figure out what makes a top blue blood Group of Five program, and hopefully we can shed some light on it, and other universities and programs and fans understand what it takes to be a school that sells out their home seasons year in and year out, that has a great environment, because all of that, it's a big picture that factors into getting great athletes in the door, keeping great athletes, especially in this day of NIL. So it's such a big picture, and we just try and do our best to get out to as many schools as we can and give as much content and coverage as we can.
We know you do a lot more, and we know it goes more in depth, but you said tailgates. Go ahead and tell us about, I'm thinking Tulane immediately is what kind of maybe comes to my mind, but I'm curious, give us some stories from the road there, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's kind of, there's different style of tailgates. You have the App State, Boone, North Carolina tailgate, which is more of your prototypical college style tailgate. Which they're all a great time, let me tell you. And then when we go places, they welcome us with open arms and feed us and give us beverages and all types of
feed
stuff.
Us.
That's the key. So we get to try a bunch of different types of food from different areas. And then, but then you got a place like UTSA, which, they play in the Alamo Dome. It's very much reminds me of a pro style tailgate where you have the parking lot surrounding the stadium, and then you got grills going and trucks and all these different types of things. So, every tailgate is different, but they're all awesome and great people around the country.
I love that. And then kind of I guess as we get into this newer era and where we kind of continue to go, how far? Did you guys start this with a real end game in mind, or kind of where do you see this thing going? Because I do see the value in what you guys are doing, especially as the voices get lifted at the higher levels. Seems like you would think they would get diminished at the smaller levels.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal originally was to give us something that we could stay together, our teammates, and have fun and go travel and have a good time. And it's really kind of morphed into, wow, like people really like this, and there's a niche market for it. And let's see how far we can take it. And hopefully one day we can get paid to do it and have a great time and give like I said, the coverage to these programs and coaches and players and administrations that they deserve. And we want to be the premier provider of Group of 5 content.
Jeff Murphy, former Middle Tennessee State quarterback, now with Group of 5 guys, Group of V guys.
Right.
Joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Jeff, as you go around to these Group of 5 schools and that kind of thing, you know, for those of us who don't have that 30,000-foot view of Group of 5 football necessarily, there are a lot of folks that feel like MTSU doesn't have X. You've been able to get out there and see what is available for schools at this level, for lack of a better phrase. You know, where do you feel like, as a former MTSU athlete who has seen this, where does MTSU stack up at this level?
I think what MTSU has been able to do over the last decade, especially with, I would say, lack of resources and facilities, has been phenomenal. What Stock did, and going to all the bowl games and being competitive and playing almost every year 2 blue blood Power 4 programs in a Michigan or an Alabama or Missouri in the same season. So being able to do that after playing those big programs and getting beat up year in and year out, it's been nothing short of astonishing, to be honest. Now I know people see the 7-6 record or 8-5, like, but those are 10 and 11 win seasons anywhere else where you're not having to play to the top programs in the country. And now that we got the facilities underway, that is going to be huge, because that is what college football has become, NIL and recruiting. And in order to compete, you have to have locker rooms, you have to have weight rooms, you have to have facilities where kids walk in the door and they feel like, wow, I'm in a place that cares, and this is a big time program. And you see it, and they're like, this school invests in the program, they're going to invest in me. And we have the track record of putting kids to the NFL. So if once we get the resources and facilities up to date, there's no reason why Middle Tennessee can't be, a Boise State, an App State, a Tulane, one of the top programs in the Group of 5.
That said, you mentioned Rick Stockstill. Obviously, Derek Mason, in his first season, or getting ready for his first season as a head football coach here at Middle Tennessee State. With the coaching change, with everything that MTSU has to work with, what do you feel like is a realistic expectation for this program, for this team this year?
I mean, I think people have to understand that it's almost a whole new roster, a ton of transfers coming in, a new coaching staff putting in their program, their scheme. So it's going to take some time, and there's some growing pains. And look, the front part of our schedule, per usual at Middle, is front loaded. So, if they can get through that first 5 games healthy, with a couple wins under their belt, I'll be very happy, because the back half opens up really nice. And last year, people talk about the record, but we lost 6 games within one score, 7 points or less. And that's against the Liberties of the world, who went undefeated, New Mexico State, who was the runner up. And that includes Missouri, who was a ranked team.
Yeah.
So, we're right there. If we can stay healthy through that first stretch, I think we'll do well in conference and be able to possibly compete down the road.
Jeff Murphy, Group of 5 guys. You can follow him at JMurphyLee on Twitter or on X, whatever you want to call it. But if you don't, you're missing out. Jeff, we appreciate it. I know you got other obligations here in like 2 minutes, so
appreciate you guys.
Certainly want to respect that and appreciate you taking some time with us this morning.
Absolutely, anytime. Appreciate you guys. You guys do awesome.
Thank you. Hey, let's continue here on Main Street Sports today. And get going on, our typical timeline, I guess.
Going about the business a little bit.
Yeah. Let's, do we have a rundown? I did not check. So again, You're seeing us in our regular time slot. This was actually put together this morning. We are taping this, and so there are some things that may be a little wonky as the day progresses, but stay with us. It's going to be fun. Again, we are here at Middle Tennessee State for Blue Raider Football Media Days. We just visited with Jeff Murphy, former MTSU quarterback, with a group of 5 guys. We expect to visit with MTSU Athletics Director Chris MASSARO, and as you saw in a cameo while we were talking to Jeff Murphy, with MTSU football coach Derek Mason. Hope to get him at some point during the show as well. We'll be talking a little Braves, a little Major League Baseball. It's Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I haven't talked about it. I've got an idea, but we will come up with something for the final segment as far as that goes. But I guess right now what we should do is get into yesterday's result and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Mo, you mentioned yesterday's result. You ain't got to go very far to get it because there was only one game, and it was the Houston Astros falling 4-3 was your final score as the rival Rangers come roaring back and get the win last night. That was yesterday's scoreboard in the lone game. But don't worry, folks. It'll stack up a little more as the week goes along.
Today's schedule at 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, at 6:20. You can see it on TBS and on Valley Sports South. The Brewers come to Truist Park to take on the Braves. And if that sounds familiar, these two just played about a week ago up at American Family Field. But yeah, hope there were no hostilities over there because nobody's had a chance to forget them, I don't guess. But again, Brewers at Atlanta, 6:20. You can see it on TBS. You can also see it on Valley Sports South. Local telecast only for Houston at the defending World Series champion Rangers. That's a 7:05 first pitch. And at 6:35 at First Horizon Park, it's the Indianapolis Indians, the AAA affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. No Paul Skeens, thank goodness, for the Sounds. Again, 6:35 first pitch out at First Horizon Park for Indianapolis at Nashville. That is your rundown. Top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and get through there for their delicious daily deli lunch options available until 6 o'clock. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And wanted to get to this before we got really bogged down in all of the MTSU stuff because there is a Olympic Games going on over in Paris, and the United States continues to dominate. Through 10 days, the U.S. has 79 total medals. That leads. They have 21 golds, which leads. They have 30 silvers, which leads, and 28 bronzes, which leads. So, again, that's pretty freaking dominant.
Yeah, we've mentioned a couple of times that it usually basically comes down U.S., China, more often than not, kind of your two that are duking it out for the total number of medals. And then, good to see that order is kind of being dealt in an according manner. One big one we'll keep our eyes on later today when the U.S. men's basketball team will tip off. I just missed it, Mo. I didn't get up quite early enough. We had to get up early today.
You did get up early.
I didn't get up just enough to see Germany in their victory this morning as Germany defeats Greece. So Giannis and company are out. Nick Kalathis, former Florida Gator, running the point for Greece. He gone. I got bounced by Germany this morning. Franz Wagner's having a good tournament. So those games will start to really pick up in intensity as the USA will play Brazil this afternoon. So you're right. We kind of are into the back half, the tail end, if you will, of these Olympic Games. They've been a lot of fun so far, and there's still a lot more to come as we kind of get things rolling.
Now, you mentioned Giannis getting bumped. Here's a question. Is Thanos playing for Greece?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so Thanos is good enough to play in the NBA. good enough to play, but he does not play for Greece.
Yeah. I mean,
Thanasis. I
don't know that anybody outside of the
Bucks
and the Antetokounmpo family really think otherwise. I don't know that everybody kind of knows what's going on. So yeah, it's not really necessarily a shock. He has had some international duties, but no, he has not made the trip, and so a couple brothers, in fact. He's the one that's the best. He's got a couple other ones, but they're not quite as good. So that would be flying a little too close to the sun, raise too many alarm bells if you had them on the team as well. But even they didn't make the team. So Giannis riding the one-man ship, like I said, alongside the Florida Gator himself, Calathis, who's still going. I looked at his Wikipedia before last night when I saw the matchup. That dude's still been playing. He's played all his career overseas, and he's won like 4 different European League MVPs. I'm like, man, this guy shouldn't be still playing at this age, but Greece and company are out.
But see, here's the deal, Wade. If somebody wants to continue to cut the check.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and there's money to be made over there. We've seen that. So
we mentioned USA going to play Brazil later. Germany, the defending World Cup champs, they won that one in the Philippines last summer, and they look pretty good. They got the Wagner brothers. They're playing well. They're playing as a team, like a couple of our guests have mentioned. That team component could be fascinating to watch. So we're kind of on a collision course because the U.S. has got the favorable draw. Probably going to get Serbia, I would imagine, in the next round in the semifinals. And then it's going to be either France or Germany in the championship game. But that comes up the U.S. Later today. And again, it will only really be a story should they stub their toe.
All right.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yesterday, Simone Biles bounced back from a fall in the balance beam that resulted in her not getting a medal by placing second, winning silver in the floor exercise with teammate Jordan Childs getting bronze there. So that's 12 Olympic medals, 7 golds for Simone Biles. And she continues to live up to the GOAT pendant that she wears. Again, the U.S. now with 79 medals coming into Tuesday's action, 21 golds, 30 silvers, and 28 bronzes. Impressive performance over in Paris for them, and we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, and we will see where we go when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Would not be a remote without a glitch or two, but we are back here at Middle Tennessee State University in the Lee Company studios for Blue Raider Football Media Days. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We are Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Thanks for joining us. We have visited with Jeff Murphy, former MTSU quarterback, now part of Group of Five Guys, the podcast, the website, the multimedia conglomerate that they are, and expecting to chat later in the show with MTSU Athletics Director Chris MASSARO to talk about all that's going on here on campus, and also with first-year Blue Raider football coach Derek Mason, as they've got camp going on behind the camera there. You can't really see it. We might have to spin the camera around at some point just to let you kind of get a look at what's going on out there, as long as we don't get any fake punts or end arounds or tackle eligibles or anything like that.
Yeah, guys are getting after it today. Vibes are high. Everybody's in a good mood on campus. You can kind of feel, just on campus in general, the excitement about everybody getting set to return soon. These guys have been working hard, and they're kind of putting it on full display for everybody out here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're going to need to work hard to get ready, because they open against Tennessee Tech, but then they've got a couple of big-time matchups with Ole Miss and with Duke early in the schedule, as Jeff Murphy alluded to when we spoke with him a little bit ago. And they have brought in 59 new players from last year to this year. So you've got to meld in a short period of time and figure out who's going to be able to contribute and who's not.
Yeah.
And again, get that figured out, figure out who your players are, and do so quickly. Again, Tennessee Tech is the season opener, August 31st. Then you go to Ole Miss. You've got Western Kentucky in here for the Conference USA opener. And then you've got Duke coming in here on September 21st. Duke also under a new coach, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
as Jeff mentioned, that front half is traditionally loaded, but man, as good as Ole Miss is going to be, as big of a rival as Western Kentucky is, Manny Diaz, the former MTSU guy, he's now over at Duke, going to be coming in. So, I mean, there's a lot to potentially be excited about. It's kind of the question. We saw it last year with Missouri. I don't think Missouri was what they became later in the year, but I mean, MTSU had them right there at the end of that ball game last year. So, not saying they're going to go out and beat Ole Miss week 2, but I could see them playing well, especially with kind of a new coach and a new intensity. And as talented and as schematic as Lane Kiffin can be, until you see some tape of a new regime, you kind of are flying blind a little bit sometimes.
I think there is some juice in the early portion of this schedule. Like you said, the rivalry with Western Kentucky. I think if you are Middle Tennessee State, you feel like Duke, especially coming in here, is a winnable ball game. And then you go to Memphis the week after that for a game that should be played every year.
No doubt.
And so you've got a chance to do a little damage early on. I think that first 5 games, as Jeff was saying, kind of sets the tone for this season, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how they come through this. Wade, as we've gotten slightly off schedule.
But the good news is nobody will know that, thanks to the powers of producer Mark.
Mark does have some power.
He is the almighty and all-powerful today, so our life is kind of in his hands, but for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. But we are expecting to speak with Chris MASSARO and with Derek Mason later in the show. So we will be a little MTSU dominant. But right now, couple of things in the news. We talked a little bit about the Olympics. The Netherlands won the men's 3x3.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Three apparently has issued a challenge.
Oh,
yeah. The Big Three championship and all-star game is this weekend or in a couple of weekends in Boston. They have offered a challenge to the Netherlands. Meet me in Boston for $150K.
I mean, that's what it's all about, right? You know, you claim you're the best.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get to send our guys that we wanted or that we have access to. Let's settle this thing. And by the way, let's throw up a little cash for it just for fun.
Absolutely. I mean, if just settling it doesn't mean anything to you on its own, what does $150K do for you? So yeah, Ice Cube, founder of the Big Three, issued the challenge Monday on social media. We officially challenge at 3x3NL to a game versus the Big Three All-Stars in Boston on August 18th. All travel expenses will be paid for. Winner takes home $150K.
I'm here for it.
Pull up.
Yeah, come see us. You know, maybe we'll I can't imagine people wanting to turn down a trip to Amsterdam. You know, play a home and away. Play a 7-game series. Let's settle this thing, right?
Yeah, I think, and with $150,000 on the line, I mean, why would you not?
I mean, the funny part is, yeah, the U.S. guys, that may mean less to them because, and I didn't know this. I Googled this just a moment ago. The gold medalists from the United States, at least, the Olympic Committee pays out the gold medalists $37,500
total or each.
Total.
Okay.
I'm assuming that might be different if it's part of a team. So, and speaking of team, right on cue. He knows how to make an entrance, folks.
Without question, he does. Middle Tennessee State first-year football coach Derek Mason joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach Mason, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Look, it's good to be in the house. You know, anytime, man, you can get Middle Tennessee's finest, man, to come watch practice, come be a part of, what's going on here with all the renovation, construction. You know, we got a building under construction, but we got a football team under construction as well.
Borough built, middle made.
That's right.
There we go.
Yeah.
The king of Brandon over here, Derek Mason.
Yeah, well done.
But, I mean, Coach, you're about halfway, I guess, through your first preseason camp here at Middle Tennessee State. And obviously a lot has been made of all of the new personnel that you've got out here. But what are you seeing right now that you like?
Well, I think the players have stepped in here. Anytime you have 59 new players, that's a lot of newness, right? You know, new tires on an old vehicle that performs, that can't perform at a high level. I think the biggest thing that we had to do is just talk about the idea of how do we get to, like this idea where we're all in fast. Every day's a job interview, man. We get a chance to come out here and put it on display, but how do you do that and figure that you're like valued and valuable in this program? I do believe now more than ever with the transfer portal and everything that's happening that like there's going to be change, but we missed the middle part of our roster now. Everything is either top heavy or young. So, I mean, like this idea of getting young guys, valuable reps to play and getting your old guys to buy into like the leadership that has to happen is paramount now. And I think this group, to me, has handled it just like my staff has handled it. I mean, they've been stellar in terms of just being in the space and doing what needs to be done, not asking a ton of questions, just doing the work.
We spoke to you inside the Murphy Center a couple months ago, and you were optimistic then, and you were excited then about what you had seen. Still that same amount of optimism in your mind, or what adjustments or recalibrations, if you will, mentally have you made with this team? Do you kind of got a much better layout of what you got now to work with?
You do. That's what camp is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when you step to camp, you get a chance to gauge it. Summertime is good, right? But it's football in shorts. You know, it's sort of like playing pickup basketball. But then, you know, now we're getting ready for the Olympics, right? You got a 12-game marathon, and this is real. This is when the training, you know, like starts to become paramount, because you got to stack days on top of days. And I think right now we're stacking, you know, good work on top of good work, but we've got really good athletic players at all skill positions. We're bigger on the offensive line, and we're more dynamic on the defensive line. And we just got better with the addition of Alex Williams getting a 7th-year waiver, like from Vanderbilt. You know, the 6'7", 295-pound defensive end is going to make a difference, you know, like for what we do.
Is there anybody individually or any position group that has shown up and you said, they might be a little better than maybe even I thought initially through the first couple of days of camp?
Well, I look at our quarterback position, and Nick Vadiato, I mean, everybody knows what he is, right? But I think, you know, going to the Manning Academy, having a chance to really see, you know, what college football has in terms of its best, and putting, you know, his best out there, I thought he came back with a ton of confidence. And then I look at what's happening with, you know, Xavier Roman at that position, a lot of competition now.
Mm-hmm.
Like dudes are looking like, okay, man, this thing is real. I think at the receiver position, I mean, we've upgraded significantly, right? We've had players inside, but to get you know, Amari, you know, I mean, coming from Auburn, man, you look at Gamarian coming from Vanderbilt, you look at Miles, and you look at what's happening with Haynes. I look at Hayes right now, and I say to myself, man, this dude is Cooper Kupp-like in that, and that's Bodie. Bodie said, man, this dude can do it all. He can play inside, he can play outside. You know, he's been an All-American when he was at Brown, went to Duke and was hurt, but now, you know, he's sort of like the Olympic gymnastics team. You know, man, he's on a redemption tour. Mm-hmm. He's trying to get this thing, you know, like headed in the right direction. So I think our receiver room is dynamic for him, and our running back room is just thick. I don't care. Like when you look top to bottom, okay, man, dynamic players, and so guys are going to be fighting for touches, and it's a line of scrimmage game, right? I think both sides of the line of scrimmage we got better, and so I like our football team. Period. Mm-hmm. I know we were picked 4th. You know, why settle for 2nd when 1st is available? And so our job is to make sure that we handle game 1, and then we'll see, you know, where that takes us.
Yeah.
Derek Mason, Middle Tennessee State football coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today as we are on campus for Blue Raider Football Media Day. Coach, obviously, you come after a previous head coaching experience at Vanderbilt,
right.
On the staffs at Auburn and Oklahoma State. You know, what did you learn in your first head coaching experience that makes you better this time around?
You know, taking the right job. Not that you know any head coaching experience is great head coaching experience, but I think, you know, I know what I want. I know what I was looking for coming into a program. I knew how I needed to be resourced coming into a program. I felt like getting my staff right, you know, first time through, and not having to worry about, okay, man, is this the right staff? Man, this staff is better than I, you know, could have ever imagined, and I think just having time to do that, like made it feel good, right? And I think these guys have made like the people involved in that process right just by the product I see on the field. Our kids are invested. We got great teachers. I think we're moving the needle. You know, our coordinators are very good. Mm-hmm. Good teachers, good men, good communicators. And nowadays, in order to be able to keep your team above water, man, you got to be able to know the pulse of your team, and they've got the pulse of their room, and I feel like I got a good pulse on our football team.
You know, when you talk about getting the staff right, is that just kind of a function of your experience in the college football game and being able to call somebody and say, hey, I'm in Murfreesboro, come on? You know, how does that work? I mean, is it just being able to reach out to guys that you feel like would work well with you, that you would work well with, or is it guys approaching you and saying, "Hey, coach, I want to come work with you"? How does that go?
Well, I think with my coordinators, and I'll start there. I thought it was all those guys were in good positions. They were all in positions where they were winning, right? And so the relationship that you have with them counts.
Yeah.
But you also have to be able to talk them and their families into why this is a great move, right? Because to uproot your family from a place, okay, maybe to another place without having been there, okay, that's a lot of trust in you. That's a lot of trust that the things that are in place are going to allow them to be successful. So I think like that was important. So when I looked at Bodie, when I looked at Stu, and when I looked at Pascal, they were all in winning situations.
Mm-hmm.
They were comfortable. And it's hard to get somebody out of a comfortable situation, okay, without being able to have a plan. I thought the plan was good. And so with that, it enticed. Getting good coordinators entices good position coaches because those guys want to be with, guys who are moving up and elevating, like in their process. And so I thought that was the case. We hit in every conceivable way. And relationships do matter because several guys on this staff were guys that played for me. So I think like in that, they understand what I stand for, what I'm about, but they also understand where I'm trying to go, right? And this is a move for everybody. It's a super move. It's a super opportunity in a place that's not a rebuild. This is not a rebuild. This is let's put our feet on the ground and let's get ready to come into a conference where people don't know what to expect, and let's go and do what we can.
A lot of construction, as you mentioned, a lot to be excited about. And one of the big challenges you had said early was kind of just getting the buy-in from everybody, not just even in Murfreesboro, but really all of Middle Tennessee, even as a whole. How has that process been for you?
Well, I think the off-season allowed me to see people, right? The year off allowed me to go into Knoxville and see folks and see me in a different light. Rather than being a competitor, I was just a sportscaster, right? And I developed some relationships from that. I know Ryan Silverfield, at Memphis, right? Because we were together at the Minnesota Vikings. And so, we've got a strong relationship. But I think I told our team, if we can embrace Middle Tennessee, this place will love you back. And I think that's what we did. We went out, blue collar project, a lot of community service hours, gave a lot to this community. And I think this community felt it. They didn't it wasn't just ours. It was connection. And I think people want to see who they know. They want to see or root for people that they're invested in.
Absolutely.
And this group is invested in us.
Derek Mason, Middle Tennessee State football coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Coach, obviously this schedule was in place when you got here,
right.
But what are your thoughts about it?
Hey, you know what? It's what you want. It's a schedule that tests this football team. You look early, hey, man, Tennessee Tech, they're a good football program, and that'll be a good first test. But then we get into the meat and potatoes. Man, you start to talk about it, what that thing looks like, man, with Ole Miss, Western Kentucky, Duke, and Memphis. Hey, I tell you what now, if that's not a schedule,
yes,
I don't know what is. And then we get to the midseason where you start the midweek games, right? So I think we're going to be tested in every possible way, right? Our staff, our first year, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And that allows us to show our community, our place, and even Conference USA who we are.
Coach, I got to ask you real quick. Last time you and I spoke, we were talking about Goggins. We were talking about Coach Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, Harbaugh likes to get active with his camp. He was showing off his arm the other day with the Chargers.
Yeah.
Have we got you out here flying around doing anything, or what? Have you reached that level yet?
It's like every other day, right? Hey, man, some days I'm backpedaling. Some days, man, I'm on the line of scrimmage playing an outside backer. Some days I'm over in the receiver drills, sticking my foot in the ground as an old receivers coach, helping Coach Corn. I think for me, like my experiences, like in the game of football, offense and defense, have allowed me to be in a myriad of places.
Yeah.
One place that you're not going to catch me, though, is sitting in there with those bigs, because football's a game of big men beating up little men, and I'm not trying to get stamp them right now. They'll stampede me if I let them, right? So I just try to stay out of big fella's way.
And they're kind of looking for that opportunity, I would imagine, huh?
Yeah, they're looking to trample me any place that they can. I put on a pad, I put a pad on my shoulder, and they're looking to give me a forearm shiver. And if you catch it on film, it's going to be replayed.
Oh yeah.
All through cam, right?
Yep.
So I'm trying to stay off. I'm trying to stay off the internet as well as in our meeting rooms, best I can.
I love it.
You're approaching 55, Coach.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to kind of be selective about that kind of
What?
thing, right? Yeah.
Selective is the right word, right? I pick and choose my battles nowadays. I don't want to pop a hamstring like I did 5 years ago trying to run a route. So I try to make sure. Man, I stay in my lane. Stay in your lane, Coach. I'm out here drinking coffee, man. I'm not gonna run a 9 route. Okay, you may get a hitch, you may get a bubble, but not a 9.
That's maturity right there.
There you go.
Exactly. Well done, Coach.
A man must know his limitations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Derek Mason joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Coach, we appreciate it. Look forward to catching up with you again later on.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Go Blue.
Absolutely.
All right now.
Let's go ahead and go to a break here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we're going to try to talk a little baseball, a little Braves, so stay tuned.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
August 6, 1937, the Boston Braves became the first National League team to lead off a game with back-to-back home runs. Roy Johnson and Rabbit Worstler doing the deed at Wrigley Field against Tex Carlton. It was all Cubs from there, however, as the home team won 12-6. That was this day in Braves history. Little power early, couldn't sustain it for the Boston Braves, sometimes known as the Bean Eaters. But hopefully better fortunes await the Braves tonight as they open a 3-game set against visiting Milwaukee. And again, if that sounds familiar, it's because they just did this last week in Milwaukee. In fact, Bryce Elder coming back up from Gwinnett after being sent down following a win over the Brewers in Milwaukee last week. So guess they figured if some is good, more is better. Elder coming up to make this start today, 2-4 with a 5.67 ERA at the major league level. It'll be Colin Ray going for the Brewers, 9-3 with a 3.59. And you know, the Braves coming off of a split of their 4-game series against the Marlins, trying to get things going back in the right direction again after taking 2 of 3 from Milwaukee in Milwaukee. So you kind of like the sound of that.
Yeah, I like the sound of it. And now playing at home, presumably pretty good effort tonight. And, you know, Milwaukee probably obviously wants a little taste of revenge, right? Because at the time, you know, that was kind of we still weren't sure what the second half, definitely post trade deadline Braves were kind of maybe about or were going to look like. And Milwaukee, I'm not going to say they underestimated them, but they probably internally were not feeling great coming out of that series. So they probably are seeking a little bit of revenge, but being at home, it'd be nice for ATL to get one, kind of kick this thing off tonight.
Absolutely. Braves were off yesterday again following that series against Miami that wrapped up on Friday, but they did make some news putting Ronaldo Lopez on the 15-day injured list. You know, he left his start, I think it was against Milwaukee, with a forearm strain and or forearm inflammation, they're calling it, excuse me. And it was thought that he wasn't going to need to go on the IL. I think, though, that this move may be as much in an effort to kind of manage his workload. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that elsewhere in this segment. But, you know, Lopez pitched as a reliever for the White Sox prior to coming to Atlanta. And so there was some concern about trying to, you know, keep his innings under control. And so this is an effort to kind of back him off a little built-in rest, and maybe have him ready for later this month and more importantly in September. So, you know, again, the Braves haven't been averse to bringing up guys from Gwinnett to make starts. Bryce Elder, AJ Smith-Shawver is kind of lurking back there somewhere. You're probably going to see him before too long. Feel like Ian Anderson is close to returning from Tommy John. He's been throwing for Gwinnett. You know, Jeff Ham with the Nashville Sound saw him. We talked to him about that on Friday. So, you know, there are arms that are there. I mean, even Max Fried making that start on Sunday. It wasn't a great start, but you know what it did? It ate up some innings because there was chatter on social media afterwards. Why didn't we send him out for a rehab start? Blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, if he's going to start, if he's going to throw anyway, may as well throw up here.
Yeah.
And it's somebody else that doesn't have to throw. I mean, with Elder going tonight, it allows you to push Chris Sale back a night. It allows you to kind of build in some extra rest. And folks don't always catch what this coaching staff is doing just in terms of trying to keep an older staff with Sale, with Lopez, with Charlie Morton, you know, trying to keep these guys rested for the games that really matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a delicate balancing act. And I'm glad I'm kind of not in charge because it's interesting, right? Yeah, you want to win games and you need to win games now, but at the same time, you want to do what's going to give you the best opportunity to win games now, but also maximize your potential damage late in the regular season and obviously hopefully into the postseason.
Absolutely.
One other quick shout out. I'm not contractually obligated, but I do got to mention Lil Sis did make it, and I'm not saying she's in line right now, but she said, I And I tried to put her at ease. I said, man, they're giving out 15. What is capacity at that stadium?
43.
Okay,
maybe?
so it's a little trickier, but they're giving out 15,000
15,000
outcast bobbleheads tonight. And I said, you're going to get one. She's talking about, like, yeah, getting out at like 1 o'clock and waiting. And I'm like, man, she's staying at the Omni we talked about. I'm like, just look out the window when you see.
And when you start seeing people line up, then go.
I'm not getting out there for no 6 hours. I just wait for like 100 folks to gather. And then if you feel a little antsy, reconsider. But 15,000 bobbleheads will be given out tonight. And I'm glad the game is going to get played because we discussed over the weekend. The forecast initially was looking a little dicey. And that's a lot of outcast bobbleheads to be sitting on that would have gone into inventory.
That's also a lot of Omni Hotel to be sitting
on.
on.
Yeah, she was nervous, but they made it down. She is excited for the game. And a couple folks from Pulaski have gone down really kind of for the end of the summer, type trips. Folks going back to school and whatnot, want to take their little ones down there. So a lot of Southern Middle Tennessee flavor to their games as of late at home.
This past weekend was Hank Aaron weekend, and I would love to have gone.
That'd have been a good one.
That. Yeah, this coming weekend, I think, is alumni weekend, and that should be really cool. They parade the alumni through the battery and that kind of thing, and they have a home run derby and different things like that with Braves alumni. So that's always nice. So they do a lot of fan friendly stuff down there, and it's good. But yeah, that's the bobblehead. I'm glad she's
But I mean, I'll get a text probably after our show, and on the drive home at some point, and she's gonna be getting antsy. And I'm like, hey, they're giving out 15K of these
after
things.
our show. That'll be 5 o'clock Eastern. She may be in line by then.
Well, I see what you did there. After we record this, and as I'm driving back to Pulaski,
yeah,
I might get a text, and I'm like, hey, you'll be okay. Kind of like the Pat Summit jersey, though, thing. I mean, for an event, for a giveaway like that, you don't want to leave anything to chance.
Right, because you don't want to miss out.
The last thing you do want is to basically be going, and she's a diehard fan, but I mean, this is a special trip for that reason. So that'd be the worst.
Yeah, when that's
situation.
The only reason you go and to come up empty.
Yeah, you can't have.
So again, Braves Brewers, or Brewers Braves, as the case may be. 6:20 first pitch down at Truist Park tonight, and hopefully Ms. Neely gets what she went for.
She is going for the bobblehead first, but it's 1A, 1B type situation. She wants to win second, just
but
as
it's
bad.
Definitely second.
It definitely
second. Astros Rangers continue their series. Framber Valdez going for the Astros, and that's always a good sign for Houston.
Yeah, he had a really nice performance last weekend. Gave up a couple runs early, but then rallied back, finished the night with 10 Ks. They didn't. Man, you never want to lose to your rival, number one. You never want to lose to your rival when it's a game that you kind of need at this point. And falling in 10 innings, they score in the 10th. You're thinking, okay, they got the run they need, but then they give up 2 to Texas in the bottom half. And the Rangers, I think the Rangers are probably too far removed from the equation to maybe think about making moves and trying to get in the postseason. Who knows? But if nothing else, they want to get the win, of course, versus their rival.
Well, like I said a couple of weeks ago when they traded Michael Lorenzen to Kansas City, you felt like that was kind of the white flag for Texas right there when they made that move. So, it may seem to us that they're too far out, but I think it also seems to Texas that they're too far out.
It kind of felt like it. I mean, you see that sometimes too, though, right? I mean, you kind of count your team out maybe a little earlier than everybody thought, and then you just start winning games in spite of type situation.
We saw it a couple of years ago with the Predators, remember?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they've been known, and teams have been known to, and sometimes, the addition by subtraction type situation. So I could see Texas, getting hot, and maybe if you told me, hey, they use this series, and then a month later we're like, man, they're one of the hottest teams in baseball. Like, I wouldn't be just shocked or blown away, but it certainly doesn't look like the case. So that's what kind of makes this thing even more last night.
Exactly. White Sox whose 21st straight game tying AL record set by 1988 Baltimore Orioles, falling 5-1 to A's. Pretty well says it.
Woof. Yeah, I mean, do we know who pitched for them last night? Because basically, unless Crochet is pitching, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that's almost an auto loss at this point. But
J.J. Bleday doubled in the bottom half of the first inning off Kai Bush, a 24-year-old left-hander making his big league debut. So,
the good news is they've already reached, comically bad levels. And presumably, the fan base is pretty much checked out. But the good news is this has been happening to me with Grizzlies games over the years. If they are that bad, if nothing else, you get some cheap tickets out of the deal. But the White Sox are so bad, you're borderline. I mean, what are you paying me to come to the game?
Well, here's
what I'm thinking.
You're getting cheap tickets, but do you want to see them?
Well, no, but I mean, you may want to go out and just grab a dog and a beer or something and be at the park, I suppose. Or if you're visiting from out of town, like if I was in Chicago and had the chance, I would go to a game just to say that I went, and then I could brag about seeing one of the worst teams in the history of Major League Baseball.
That's what you would be seeing.
No team has been quite as bad as the White Sox in a long time.
Bad.
Yeah.
And that's not a phrase that you won't use on your team.
I hope our guest is not a White Sox fan. I guess we should have clarified before he sat down here.
Hey, it is what it is. As long as we're not using historically bad at Middle Tennessee.
Yeah. Let's clarify. We meant the Chicago White Sox, not Middle Tennessee.
Not at all. We're going to take a break here at Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company Studios here at Middle Tennessee State, we will be joined by Athletics Director Chris MASSARO. Stay tuned.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
It is the second hour of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Both of us being Middle Tennessee State graduates, I feel comfortable that we can pull together a Top 5 MTSU athletes for our Top 5 Tuesday. So stay tuned for that.
Be a good list.
Final segment of the day.
Leading us into that, though, will be Middle Tennessee State Athletics Director Chris MASSARO, who is joining us now. And Chris, again, we're here for Blue Raider Football Media Day, but last week was a pretty exciting week for Middle Tennessee State fans, alumni, athletics followers, because the 2024 Hall of Fame class was announced last week. Rolled out on a day-by-day basis, 5 days, 5 new inductees. And typically we would talk to Chip about this, but we don't have access to Chip this week because he's got bigger fish to fry than us as we are out here at Football Media Day. But talk about that class that y'all are going to be inducting.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so exciting.
Hold on just a second. We got him now?
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just exciting, Maurice, to, every year I'm so overwhelmed by seeing these people get inducted and what they've contributed to us. And every year I remember most of them when they played now.
Yeah, that's
so,
just what I was getting ready to say. You've kind of been here long enough that you are seeing inductees that you saw as athletes.
And it's special. It's kind of a nice mix where, like, some of the other inductees that we've had that maybe I didn't have a chance to, and I'll use Marvin Collier as an example. I did not have the pleasure of watching Marvin play. Yeah, and that's what I understand. And so I like these weekends because that helps fill in the gap, so I get to hear more about what Marvin Collier did. Now, nobody really needs to tell me about what Ebony Rowe did, because I witnessed it firsthand, and so that's a different satisfaction, a different feeling than maybe Marvin, but they're both really impactful to me. And what it does is whenever you announce those classes and then we have the weekend, it just fortifies what an honor it is to lead a department like this. And I'm just the guardian of it. I'm the caretaker of this. I'm the caretaker of the history. I'm trying to set ourselves to the present and launch to the future. And how that is such an awesome responsibility, because we've had so many great athletes. I'm so curious to hear who your top 5 are. Like, I was sitting here thinking, like, how could I even do that? And because there's been so many great ones, and to narrow that thing down. So
hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves. How's that?
I don't think you will.
And you can write 5 down on a sheet of paper and slide it to us, and we won't reveal on air, but we'd be curious your top 5. So if you feel compelled.
And it's like, it depends on, I try to prevent recency bias, but we all have it a little bit, and we all are prejudiced. I'll be prejudiced probably the last 20 years, what I've been able to firsthand watch. But then do you, like a Teddy Morris, who has his number retired in football, as I'm looking at the stadium press box and see his name up there, I never saw him play, and I've only heard stories, but how does somebody like that who's had his number retired fit in? How does a Dwan Brazelton and a Bryce Brents in baseball fit in? And so every sport has their Mount Rushmores here. and we've had a lot of success. I mean, tennis has had a ton of success. We're right next to the track and field area with Dean Hayes, and we've had national champions over there. And so how does all that compute? I mean, I don't want to write down 5 and send it to you guys because I don't want that responsibility.
I understand that. And kind of with that being said, we're obviously here at Football Media Day. We're having a blast watching practice, but you kind of just touched on it. I think it speaks to the success just overall, because you just mentioned tennis. You've obviously got a great history with sports like track and field, women's soccer, softball, etc. I mean, this, and I guess I'm curious, it seems like you've done a great job of keeping that tradition alive, that every sport here has its own unique story to tell.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the great things about MTSU is that this belief that the rising tide lifts all boats, and you really see that in athletics. And so prior to Jimmy Borndane, and I mean, we had great success with Dale Short, and prior to Dale Short in tennis, we had great success with Buck Bolden, you know, and Dean Hayes was a constant in track and field, and Rick Insel inherited great women's history, and then he's just compounded it, you know, and left his mark. And so Kermit Davis, who's one of the inductees, and Jimmy Earle in men's basketball, I mean, you just go down the line of these great individuals that have built this place. And so how do we build upon that and move this thing and modernize it? And that's been our challenge, and to have a whole new fresh batch of coaches that make their own imprint. And we're looking at one right out there on the practice field today.
It's interesting, Chris. You just said, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I've been fortunate to be at some MTSU football games. And I'm not sure that there is a bigger MTSU football fan than Rick Insel, for instance. I know that, you know, Nick McDevitt and Rick cheer for each other like nobody's business. I know Derek has been at basketball games and that kind of thing since he's been here. You know, the way these coaches and these coaching staffs support each other across the athletic department, I think is really impressive and really important, particularly on a campus like this.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, and I think it trickles down to our student athletes too. That I want everybody to respect each other and how hard it is to do their craft. Like it's hard to be an offensive lineman and get pounded on every day at practice. And it's hard to hit a golf ball 280 yards right down the middle, you know. And so let's support each other's skill set, because these guys have worked really, really hard to master their craft. So a tennis serve of 90 some miles an hour, and try to hit a softball pitch, and you know, and all those kind of things. That these kids have really perfected their craft, and they're world-class athletes. I mean, to be at FBS level that we are, these are world-class athletes. Let's don't forget that, and how hard it is to get there, and appreciate the work. And so that needs to carry over to the coaching staffs too. Like, it's hard to win a basketball game, and so when we do, let's celebrate it, you know, and let's support each other, because coaches have this club, this hidden club that they know, like, they compete like the Dickens with each other, but they also know how hard it is. And so there's this kind of this union of there that they want to have excellence, and that's important to me. I think that's I inherited a lot of that, and I wanted to carry it on because that's an important value. I just think that if you're going to keep score, let's try to win. And there's scoreboards. I've never been to a competition in college athletics where there's not a scoreboard.
There you go.
You know, and so let's try to be the best.
Chris MASSARO, Athletics Director here at Middle Tennessee State, joining us on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. 2024 MTSU Hall of Fame class will be inducted on September 20th. That's on Friday night, prior to the Duke game here. Inductees will be former MTSU infielder Jeff Beecham. We mentioned Marvin Collier, the 1985 Ohio Valley Conference Offensive Player of the Year for Boots Donnelly and the Blue Raiders right over there, and you missed it.
Yeah,
You missed
I've
it.
heard the stories. Special.
Yes.
And so is Jeff. Jeff, I overlapped a little bit with him in baseball. He's a great shortstop. So happy to have him.
Kermit Davis, men's basketball coach who engineered back-to-back first-round NCAA victories over Michigan State and Minnesota. Jamari Lattimore, a Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year in 2010. And you mentioned Ebony Rowe, all-time leading scorer and rebounder in MTSU women's basketball history. And, you know, as I have said so often, when you start talking about halls of fame inductees and that kind of thing, invariably you run across somebody and it's like they're not already in. How did it take this long for the all-time scorer and rebounder to get into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, and I think it's just a bylaw thing, Maurice. I think it's a 10-year.
Okay.
Before you can get in.
She's just now
she's
eligible?
First ballot.
She's
okay.
first ballot.
Okay. All right. Well, she got in as quickly as she could.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All
I would be surprised, and I wasn't in the room, but I'd be surprised if somebody voted no.
Yeah.
That
first
person needs
ballot
to be off the
unanimous, huh?
committee.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. And Jamari Lattimore, we didn't talk about him, but I mean, what a great defensive player he was, and just a disruptor, and so. You know, we had a nice run. We went like Eric Walden and Jamari Lattimore. And so those are some pretty good defensive ends.
Chris, you made a comment a moment ago, you know, that if we're going to have a scoreboard, we might as well win. There's not a scoreboard in the facilities race. And so with that being said, I'm curious.
Are we winning?
Yeah. Where does MTSU now in your mind sit in this proverbial pecking order, whether that's in conference or in your mind, you know, regionally or even nationally, with the upgrades that have all occurred across this campus, but specifically with our new facility that's going up?
Yeah, and right now we're behind, you know, and so like I mentioned that we had a football team that's still dressing in the basketball arena, you know, and so that gets used against us in recruiting now with this building going up, and we'll cut the ribbon next July, and so it'll be occupied probably by the next media day, and knock on wood, no delays and no tornadoes. I'm glad the tornado hit the other side, but when that building opens, that'll be the nicest building in Conference USA. It'll be one of the best buildings, and I think probably the nicest building in the group of five. So all of a sudden, then we've flipped the script where it's going to be great, you know, and it's going to be an asset for us. And then the Murphy Center, we've got some renovations planned for it. We're moving the loading dock to the other side of the building so we can have an enhanced entryway and those kind of things. When we make those improvements.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second.
Sure.
Because as a guy who worked on special events, specifically load in and load out for Tina Turner and ZZ Top and Stevie Wonder, and made many a steps up and down that loading dock. That's going to be a different dynamic to walk up and not see that loading dock right there.
Yeah, and that's going to be really, that's the front of our building, you know, the way it's all laid out. And so when we put a building there where that loading dock is, that will match the look of our student athlete performance center, then you're going to have that feeling that you're entering something really special. And right now, when we enter the Murphy Center, it doesn't do the building justice.
Yeah.
There's so much history there. So that's one of the things we have to change. There's ADA. I mean, it's very wheelchair unfriendly, the entrances and those kind of things. So all that will change in the next 4 or 5 years.
You know, I was having a conversation on Facebook with my daughter, who is also an MTSU graduate, among other people. Some kind of way the stairs.
Oh, they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone.
That's what I was trying to explain to her, and she was asking me for details because she couldn't quite get her head around the fact, as awkward as those stairs are with the depth and the depth, you know, that as much as she hates the steps, she hates the thought of them not being there even more, I think.
Right.
So what is going to happen right there on that corner
Right now,
closest to
the
Greenland Drive?
concept is that it's really from the loading dock to the steps will be a building, and that'll be the entranceway. That'll be the grand concourse. So inside that concourse, then you'll have escalators to take you to the concourse level. You'll have elevators in there, and so the main entryway then will face more towards Greenland and more towards the Hall of Fame building, where those steps actually are. That's kind of the front of the building.
Okay.
And so it's going to be nice. We'll have Lightning's locker room in there. We'll have a box office in there. So if you come to buy a ticket or you need to go to will call, which is old technology, but we'll have that. So you don't have to wait in the rain to be able to do those kind of things.
Now, what will the escalators to the concourse, what will that do for the running track?
Right now, the track's there. Now, if we start building suites and other premium, then we'll look to replace the track and find an alternate place for it. But the one thing about an indoor track is that you can pretty much put those in a lot of places. I remember growing up watching television that they used to run indoor track meets at Madison Square Garden where they just had a portable track. So we've got some livestock arenas here on campus that you can actually rent out a warehouse and those kind of things to do that. So I think that's one of the facilities that's easily replaced, and to be able to do that. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
Chris MASSARO, Athletics Director at Middle Tennessee State, spending some time with us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia as we are here for Blue Raider Football Media Day. Practice seems to be winding down. Coach Mason has called them up. Chris, we were over here in early December 6th, I believe specifically. I started the morning over here on campus for the announcement of Derek Mason as the new Middle Tennessee State football coach. I ended the day in Huntsville, Alabama.
What a great day
for Middle Tennessee State's win over the UT Lady Vols. And, as a Middle Tennessee State graduate, I'm going to tell you, I don't know of very many better days than that. That said, in the 8 months since, what have you seen that further convinces you that you guys made the right hire?
Yeah, and that's a multiple answer there. There's multiple things. That first is just like the collection of staff that he surrounded himself with. Great football guys and that kind of thing. But I think the overriding impression that people have is just his willingness to meet people and to grow the program and to shake every hand possible and to tirelessly promote MTSU. That when we were in the interview process, kind of had the women's basketball program in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we go up to the square, and sit at the city cafe or whatever, they're talking about women's basketball. It's how are our girls doing it? How are we doing? And Rick Insel kind of fosters all that he makes people believe that we can't possibly make this happen without them. And he's right that so everybody feels an important piece of that program. And that's what we wanted people to reference our football program. We go to the square. It's like, how's Middle doing? How are they doing? How are they going to be this year? Are they going to a bowl game? And it was always kind of referenced as they instead of we. And so we need to really change that outlook. And we're not there yet. But Derek's made unbelievable progress to foster that. And so if we can get that they to a we, we're going to really have something, and everybody's got a little responsibility there. All the True Blue fans that are listening, buy a ticket, come to the game, get behind these guys. But that's the overriding thing that Derek's done is he's made sure his players get out and do community service and people know about it and it's meaningful. And so because that he wants that connectivity work both ways. He wants his players to be connected to the community and to feel that, and he wants the community to be connected to his players. And so that's what he's done a really remarkable job of doing, and that's a full-time job. And then he's built a football team. We've brought in 50-some newcomers. We've got 40-some new scholarship. He's had to hire a staff. He's had to do a lot of things. So just the energy and just the top to the bottom of every detail that is important to him. It's been a remarkable 8 months, and how much progress has been made in our football program.
What was it that you knew about him, or that you thought you knew about him heading into the interview process, going through the interview process, that made you feel like that was going to be what he wound up doing?
Well, I always felt like he was a good coach in a really tough situation, and just kind of watching from afar. And my opinion watching from afar is that he got off to a rough start. And I think after his first year, he fired both coordinators. And so that's both a good thing and a bad thing. He's not afraid to make a change, but going out of the gate, maybe he didn't surround himself with the people, and so then it kind of levels off for a while, and he's beat some people he probably shouldn't beat, and so you could really see him improve the program and just how solid they were. Now, I didn't know how good he is at meeting people and being in one-on-one situations. And I've seen him in group settings, but not the powerful one-on-one. And so that's what we were looking for too. And what did he learn from his Vanderbilt experience? Because the guy knows how to coach football. I mean, he was the best defensive coordinator in the country at Stanford. So that stuff just doesn't leave you. And so what did he learn from his Vanderbilt experience? What did he learn from his Auburn experience? What did he learn from his Oklahoma experience post Vanderbilt? And then what did he learn from his year doing television? And he answered all that stuff with spades. And I remember one point in the interview, and he said, don't worry about my defense, Chris. My defense will be fine. I'm confident there. My most important hire, and the one I'm going to take the most time on, is the offensive coordinator. And that's what I wanted to hear, because that tells me what he learned from kind of the Vanderbilt experience. And if you're learning, you're growing. And so I thought we had a really good coach at Vanderbilt that got better, through the experiences. And anytime you've been kind of through, and you've had your nose bloodied, and you've been kind of through that ringer, you come out of it smarter, and I think he's excited to be at a place. He's told me this multiple times, where he's fighting a fair fight with the rest of the conference, and he's excited because he can win a conference, and we've got the resources to do it.
Did you feel like, Chris, given your time at South Carolina prior to coming over here, that you kind of had a unique feel for his time at Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I think that, it gives you an idea of what an uphill battle it can be in the SEC, and how it's a different growth that it's got to, back then you could grow it incrementally. And I always felt like at South Carolina, we changed coaches too often, and by the time a new coach was starting to establish himself, that, maybe he dipped a little bit in year 5, and then the drumbeat starts, and they start the process all over again. And so just when they finally got some stability with Holtz and then Spurrier kind of with that run, they were winning 10 games a year, and Spurrier had it going, and they played in the SEC championship game. So it can be done, but it's got to be done differently. You're not Florida, and you're not LSU, and you're not Georgia, and so how do you do it? And so it does give you an appreciation of the uphill fight, and then it causes you to look around the corner a little bit and say, hey, this is probably an undervalued coach that was in an impossible situation. and how did he survive, and how did he flourish, and what was good, what was bad, what would he do differently, and we all would do things differently if we had a chance to roll back the clock. And he answered all those questions. And he's a highly intelligent guy. I mean, we've all seen that, and I've seen that from his interviews at Vanderbilt. But once you interview in person and then you start working with him on a daily basis, you realize how strategic he really is.
Chris MASSARO, Athletics Director at Middle Tennessee State, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade?
Chris, I was just going to ask, number one, this was a fantastic event, and Mo kind of touched to it a moment ago. It just feels, you can feel the buzz, you can feel the excitement. The other coaches, it seems, are on board with kind of the direction that football is now headed. Is winning really the only turning that we into us that we're kind of missing, like sustained, like a breakout winning season? I mean, what's the final piece of that puzzle in your mind, I guess, is my real question.
Yeah, and
because winning does cure a lot of things, but that's what I'm curious if that is kind of the final piece there.
We've won here before.
Of course.
So I just think that connectivity of the win to the community, that's got to be there. And so I don't know if there's ever a final piece. I used to believe that, but I view it more, and Saban used to talk about it being a continuum.
Yeah.
And it's just you just kind of keep going, and it's different, and then so how do we incrementally improve? How does our connection to our fan base improve from where we are today on August the 6th to where we are next August the 6th? And yeah, wins and losses are part of that.
Yeah.
But so is how we react to things. If we're going to have some hardships, and fans judge you by how you do during the hard times as well. And so how do we handle adversity, and how do we handle success? And so I think those are the keys as we try to grow this thing, and just to realize it's a continuum. It's a political election that never has an election day, and so we're always out there campaigning and trying to generate support and those kind of things. And let's do it. Let's grow it.
How exciting or refreshing is it for you, having been here since 2004, 2005? I mean, having been here that long to really, and I was undergrad at that time. I mean, it seems like this is maybe the most exciting time in the history of the athletic department. What's that mean to you personally, knowing that you're kind of pulling the strings on that later in your MTSU tenure?
Yeah, I take great pride in what we've accomplished and what the university's been able to accomplish, and what we've been able to do together. And so it's hard to sustain success, and I think as a department, we've been able to do that now. Our sports spike up and down. The only one that's probably been the constant since I've been here is women's basketball, and that's pretty remarkable what Rick's been able to do there. But
that was your first hire, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And
job well done.
You set the bar high.
Yeah, I did. I've been trying to match that ever since. So I'm hoping Derek will be able to do that for me. But that is, it's. We've got so many good things going that we should be successful. We should be dominant. We should be all these things. And I think that's what I was hearing from our fans, that we're getting a little frustrated with maybe a 6-6 or a 7-6 and a bowl win. That we need to be higher than that. We need to win conference championships in football, and we need to have those sort of breakout experiences. And we've not had the breakout. We've had breakout games in football, but maybe not the breakout season. That we've come close a few times, but not that really huge breakout season. We've got a lot of wins. I mean, we beat Miami, we beat Missouri, we've beaten a lot of teams, but let's have one of those breakout seasons.
And I will tell you that as an alumnus, I've heard and I've said, I would trade, say, a Georgia Tech win for a conference championship.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope we don't have to make those trades. You know, I hear that all the time.
I'd absolutely take both.
Yeah,
you know, but
so, so that's the thing, and we need to. And this conference is a really good football conference. You know, we saw Liberty and you know, that they were the group of 5 team that made the Access Bowl. You know, and they got their quarterback back, and we absolutely need to put a target on Western Kentucky's back. You know, because they've gotten the best of us the last 4 or 5 years.
We should always have a target on Western Kentucky.
We need to win those games, you know, and I have a staff meeting that every Monday, and we go through the results of the week, and we keep a running sports score on how each team does against Western Kentucky. It's got its own column, so
yeah, that's a good list right there.
There's some athletic emphasis on that, and our coaches know that. And so let's beat them in football. We have not done that.
Chris MASSARO joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris, always a pleasure to sit down with you.
Man, it was great.
And look forward to doing so again soon.
Yeah.
And we will, like I said, in our final segment, try not to embarrass ourselves too badly with these top 5 MTSU athletes. But, you know, it's top 5. It doesn't mean somebody won't be 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's quite a list, and we're so lucky because we've got such a rich history here that you want those decisions to be
tough,
difficult. Yeah, exactly.
Difficult. Yeah, they're going to.
If they're easy, then that means you don't have much of a program.
Yeah, I hope we haven't bitten off more than we can chew. Man, we appreciate you.
Take care, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate y'all.
Hey, let's take a break here and come back to the Lee Company studios after this. All right,
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I are going to try not to expose ourselves too greatly as we give you our MTSU top 5 athletes. Stay tuned for that. Right now, we are visiting with a guy who, in a few years, might be on that list. DEVYN Curtis, senior linebacker from Brentwood Academy, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. And DEVYN has kind of emerged as one of the faces of Derek Mason's defense. And that's no small feat.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I know he's had a great list of guys come through under him. So I'm just looking to be that next guy.
What has this 8 months with Coach Mason been like? I mean, you've been here. You were a 2020 graduate of Brentwood Academy, and you've been here on this campus ever since. So, what's it been like getting used to a new guy your senior year? I know coaching changes for seniors are particularly excruciating, whether it be high school or college. And so, what's that transition been like?
Oh, it's been very smooth. Coach Mason, Coach Stewart, Coach Reisig, all the coaches really have helped us progress and, sort of adapt to their new schemes and styles.
As you get ready, we were just talking about the schedule. We've mentioned it a couple times already on the show, and then we were talking about it with you. You're not going to find a real more tough or rivalry-filled schedule. I'm not going to ask which one are you looking forward to the most, because the next one is that answer, I guess. But what can you speak to that if you come to MTSU, be ready to play some of the best of the best?
Oh, absolutely. You look at last year's schedule, we started off with 2 top 10 teams in Alabama and Missouri. This year, we've got a really good schedule, Tennessee Tech. Then we go to Ole Miss, then back at home for a rivalry game against WKU. Then it keeps going on from there between Duke and Memphis. And then you get into the real meat of the schedule once again with CUSA play. So you're getting ready to play some good ball.
Devin, you got Duke coming in for homecoming. Years and years ago, that might have been a game that you would schedule on purpose for homecoming. But you guys, if you're bringing in Duke, they're a little better. They certainly have come a tremendously long way from where they were. So in some regards, that's not the easy gimme homecoming game. Kind of like you mentioned, it's a murderer's row for you guys in terms of schedule, which I imagine excites you as a player.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Duke's a long way away. So first game we got to focus on is Tennessee Tech.
Yep.
But throughout the whole schedule, there's no easy weeks. Each team that we play, we've got to come prepared and ready to play.
Devin, again, 2020 high school graduate, COVID and everything else that you've had to deal with. I mean, would you have ever thought at that point that in 2024 you would still be playing college football?
I didn't. I really did not think, that I would have the opportunity for a 5th year. And then COVID happened, then an injury happened. So I'm blessed to be able to play again.
What do you feel like your role is in this defense?
I feel like it's just to be the veteran, just to make everyone else better, get everyone aligned properly. It's everything that comes with being a middle linebacker plus an experienced guy.
Devin, I got to ask you, I'm assuming, I'm going to go out on a limb, I'm assuming you played the college football game.
I've played it a lot, yes, sir.
All right, feel free to speak freely. They got you at a 77, man. I feel like they got to show a little more love than that, right?
Right. I was just really hoping for a good ultimate team card, and I got it.
Yep.
So I was kind of happy that, and my little brother's playing college football now, so I kind of was like, all right, as long as I'm higher than him, I'm good. I can go home and be fine.
Now, who is your brother?
My little brother is Mason Curtis. He plays safety.
Where?
Michigan.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. And are you higher than him?
I am. Okay. So that was the first thing I checked. I really checked his to make sure, and I was like,
so you checked his before you checked yours?
I did. I just had to make sure.
So you went. Most folks don't have that order of operations. You check the family ratings first, and then you go to the teammates. I'm imagining after that, right?
Oh, I did. Well, like I said, I just wanted to make sure. Whatever his was, I was higher. It was like kind of a drum roll.
As long
moment.
as you get him first, you're good. What kind of tales can you tell us? Have y'all been having team battles? Do we have somebody that's the clear-cut champ on the game thus far, or how's that been?
I'm going to say I'm the clear-cut champ.
Whoa,
I've only played like 4 or 5 guys and haven't lost yet. So until someone beats me, I'm going to say that I'm the champion.
Now, have you played Mason?
I haven't. I mean, he won't return my text. I'm saying, hey, anytime it's about the game, he's just not going to return it. So that's on him.
So he doesn't want the smoke.
He does not want the smoke.
Well, I feel like we can make that happen. That needs to go on a Twitch or something. I mean, because I could get some ratings in Middle Tennessee, of course. So I'm glad to know. Good to know we're talking with the champ of the game on campus, at least right now.
Oh, at least right now
on campus and in the family. Apparently.
I mean, yeah.
I know. I'm just waiting on him to send his gamer tag, and then we can play. As far as like roommates go, like I'm roommates with some guys on the team. I end up beating them quite often. Another good player is K30, Jaquil Meadowbrook. He's a really good player. So we've got some good players on the team as far as the video game goes.
Devin, are you able to take anything out of the game into the game? I mean, from a schematics or reading or anything like that standpoint?
It's just so realistic. The game is so realistic as far as like pass coverages, run responsibilities, that it's kind of nice. I can't do road to glory because I get frustrated with that sometimes because I'm like, man, I should make that tackle.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, it kind of motivates you almost to be like, man, I'm a 77. Let's see if I can get that to an 80 by week 2.
I'm not a gamer. I'll leave that to Wade and other folks. But I hear about Dynasty and that kind of thing. Who are you playing as? Do you play as Middle Tennessee most of the time?
Oh, I do. My Dynasty, I'm in like year 2034 already with MTSU. I'm a big Dynasty guy. I love all the aspects of it. I've played NCAA 14 for the last 10 years without fail. So this was such a treat for me.
Yeah. On that note, I had some older friends, kids of that I went to school with. They were in games, but they weren't in the games. Kind of the way that you guys are officially. How cool has that process been? Just firing it up and just literally seeing your name.
It's really cool, but the best part about it is getting all the text and DMs from friends in the past. They're like, oh, hey, it's you. Like they'll have like a 12 tackle game with me and I'll get like the little player of the game graphic on there and they'll just send me a picture. And there's no better feeling than seeing someone like text me that or DM me that.
All right. Hey, and this is a hot issue too across a lot of campuses. Did they get your artwork correct? Grade your artwork. How accurate is the depiction in your mind?
I think it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Back when I had long hair, that's kind of similar. I
Okay.
guess. But some people joke. If you look at Nick Vadiato's character, they say that looks more like me than my character does. So
you'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm going to do some research because, it seems like some guys across the country, they're not too happy with EA and the way it's like the game is so realistic, but I'm the one guy that you didn't get right. I mean, I feel a little targeted. So it's good to know that they nailed you at least, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
It's interesting. We talked a few weeks ago with Matt Brown of Extra Points, and it came up. Apparently, EA Sports reached out to the equipment staff here about some uniforms not being uniform. You guys were out of uniform when you played at Alabama last year or something like that, and they picked up on it. Am I telling that right?
Yeah. The jersey issue at Alabama last year, it sounds like you guys had different jerseys, and the folks from EA Sports emailed the folks on campus here like on Tuesday of the next week, and they said, hey, are these brand new jerseys? Because these aren't the ones we were expecting to see. And so do you remember anything about that? Or were you aware kind of the jersey situation at Alabama last year?
See, that's what's funny. They brought that up like a few weeks ago, and that was the first I ever heard of it. I just thought we got new jerseys.
Okay.
I was like, man, these are clean.
I think the Cliff Notes is supply chain. The jerseys were back ordered, delayed, whatever. Some makeshift jerseys for that Alabama game, and the EA Sports folks said, well, these look nice, like kind of like to your point, but these aren't the ones that we were expecting to see. So that level of realism is kind of crazy to think about. Supposedly as the season goes on, they're going to have an updated stadium with more and more construction as this facility comes up. So that part to me is going to be fascinating to watch as well, I imagine.
I agree. Just to see the growth and construction, just with like you said, the construction and the scoreboard, being able to see that put up in game is going to be pretty special.
Hey, speaking of which, I got to ask you this. When I graduated, they were just building the student union, so I never got to experience any of that. What's it like for you being a senior and seeing that building go up right now?
It's pretty cool. Fortunately,
that's not the answer I was anticipating. I was thinking, man, I'm a little jealous because I'm not going to get to really, really take it in, right?
Oh, absolutely. But, it is what it is on that one. I've done my time, and everyone behind me, these freshmen, sophomore, juniors, they'll get to experience it to the fullest. And it's kind of cool to see, like, whenever I'm 10 years from now coming back and seeing it, they're always going to be adding, always going to be building. Yeah. So there's always going to be some aspect where I'm like, man, that'd be nice if I had that.
I like that. That's a grounded answer. I like that. I like that. Well done, sir.
Very mature. DEVYN Curtis, senior linebacker here at Middle Tennessee State, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. DEVYN, again, in your 5th year now, what's next for you? And I don't want to speed things up for you necessarily, but graduated.
I graduated this past fall, and I'm working on my master's right now.
So what's next?
I'm hoping to have another year left because, like I said, I've had COVID and I had an injury. So I got redshirted the year after COVID, which.
So you may be a senior again next year then, huh?
I may be.
Okay. And Coach Mason was just talking to us about a guy that got a 7th year, a defensive end, I guess, coming out of Vanderbilt. So, I mean, it happens. I saw a graphic somewhere. There are like 6 or 7 guys across Division I playing their 7th year this year.
That's a long college career.
It is.
You could have 2 master's degrees at that point if you played your cards right.
You could almost have a doctorate.
Yeah, you could basically get a free doctorate out of the deal.
Dr. Curtis.
Yeah, I like it. It's got a good ring to it.
I like it too.
Absolutely. Dr. DEVYN Curtis joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Hey, man, we appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you out there on the field. And stay healthy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Hey, when we come back here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I are going to give you our Top 5 Blue Raiders when we come back.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, as we come to you from the Lee Company studios here on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University, where Blue Raider Football Media Day is wrapping up. We were just fortunate enough to get to visit with DEVYN Curtis, senior linebacker here at MTSU. Earlier, we were able to visit with Chris MASSARO, athletics director, first-year football coach Derek Mason, and Jeff Murphy of Group of 5 guys.
Packed lineup today.
We have. It's been fun, man. It's nice to get out sometimes.
And good to be back on campus. Any college campus is fun this time of year because there's just pure excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is pumped. Everybody's ready, except for the students. As far as going to class, everybody's excited to be back. But the buzz around a campus this time of the year is unparalleled.
It's always fun to be back on a college campus. It's especially fun to be back on this college campus. And I can tell you, again, as a graduate, man, this place has changed. You talked about the new student union building going up over there. My dorm is gone.
It's only a matter of time before they come for Corlew. My time will be there as well. So
it's a little disappointing, but you know, they say it's progress. So pay Paradise, put up a parking lot, something like that.
Yep.
But again, Wade and I both Middle Tennessee State graduates, and so we are going to try our hand, you know, kind of in tribute to the 2024 Hall of Fame class being announced last week. We're going to try our hand at our top 5 Blue Raider athletes. And so with that, Wade, floor is yours.
Buckle up, folks. This list could go all over the place. And
now, and again, this is top 5, and I've got a little bit of a faulty memory, so don't come at me too hard if your name isn't mentioned.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, there will be some student athletes and fellow alums that might be at us.
Yes,
be at us,
absolutely.
But it is what it is. First off the rip for me, like I said, I'm going all over the place. I'm going to try and show a little love across campus But women's basketball, I got to see her right in her heyday. Alicia Clark had classes together, fellow mass comm major. I mean, she obviously the program had so much success, but she was kind of that 2.0, 3.0 carrying the torch into an extra level that I felt, and kind of really the standard bearer in a lot of regards. And again, that is one kind of a pure homer pick, but also there are so many to choose from. We'd be here all day if we were talking about women's basketball greats on this campus.
You know, with all due respect, you wasted a lot of words to say Alicia Clark. I mean,
two-time WNBA champion.
That's not a pick that needs justifying.
Like I said, I don't want fellow folks coming at me.
I don't think anybody's going to come at you over AC.
Good.
I transferred up here after spending my freshman year down at Lambeth College, which also no longer exists, down in Jackson, and was happy to have college football. And one of the first guys that stood out when I sat in that stadium he was number 12, but he was a running back. They called him Flea. Vince Hall. He stands up. I mean, in any era as a running back, he was one of the all-time greats on this campus, and Vince Hall is my number one.
And that was in the era, especially where you got a unique number like that. You kind of got to have done something to get that number.
You better be good. Yeah.
That's like a DN wearing number 1. Like, you run from that dude. Something is up.
Yep.
And those were, certainly more harder to come by, a little more commonplace. Now, that's a good pull. My next pick, I will stay with football. This was the guy that I never saw him play personally, but I always heard about him. Dwan Hicks, running back for MTSU. And again, this is kind of a very subjective list, but his I'm not going to say household name factor was something that resonated with me with being still in high school and just hearing about this guy. I wanted to go see him, but I never, ever got to see him, but I just heard great things.
He was a real deal.
Everything I heard was fantastic.
And
Vanderbilt, I think, is still giving up yards to him.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, this place has made a living off of running backs.
Yes, it feels like it.
And between Vince Hall and Dwan Hicks, I mean, there were any number of individuals that could be on a list like this. But I'm going for my number 2 back to your women's basketball because, and I'm also going back to the Dimple because when I was here, MTSU was fortunate enough to be able to play teams like Ole Miss and Georgia and other top 20 teams right over there in the Murphy Center. And Jennifer McFall could have played for any of them. She was as good then as anybody that came over there. And I mean, when you talk about Ebony Rowe being the all-time scorer and rebounder, I would imagine she broke Jay's records in both of those. She's just a fantastic women's basketball player and so fun to watch. Jennifer's my number 2.
Absolutely. And like we said, for a campus that's got a lot of fantastic history in sports, man, women's basketball has got it in spades. Up next for me, going to women's soccer, Franklin alumna, Peyton DePriest. She's the all-time goal scorer in campus history by like 30 goals, Mo. And, I mean, she could have probably gone anywhere else. She ends up at MTSU somehow, some way. And Aston Roden, the longtime coach here, he's been thanking his lucky stars ever since because she was an All-American player for MTSU and just shattered every goal-scoring record imaginable during her run at MTSU. Peyton DePriest for women's soccer will be a pick for me.
The highest draftee in Major League Baseball history from Middle Tennessee State went number 3 overall to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Yeah.
Then the pride of Tullahoma, DeJuan Brazelton, is my number 3 pick.
Same deal. Never got to see the guy, but man, heard all about it and was excited, to see the potential down the road. But I also just choose to remember that epic story that I kept hearing about from MTSU. That's a good pull there. Up next for me, homer pick, spoiler alert. But how about a fellow MTSU Hall of Famer? He got inducted last year. What about Don Thomas, who is now the principal / football assistant coach at Giles County? You know, we got an article in the Pulaski Citizen hyping up the season this year. Don's going to be a part of that staff again. And, I mean, he's got the chops, too. I didn't know that he had it like that, as we like to say.
He absolutely had it.
I was unfamiliar with your game, basically, in that sense.
I wasn't familiar with your game. Yeah,
Man.
He was one of two studs from Lincoln County, Don Thomas and Tommy Barnes. Don played defensive end / outside linebacker in Boots Donnelly's wide tackle 6 defensive scheme. And Tommy Barnes played safety. And as Boots would say, they would both strike you.
Ooh, I like the verbiage there. And I didn't know, as I was doing the research, writing about that induction a couple years ago, obviously to get in a Hall of Fame, you got to be pretty good. But I didn't know to that extent. And everybody I've told that to since is giving me the same reaction that you just said. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A head knocker back in the day.
DT was that dude.
Man.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 4, and, you know, I don't mean to slight any men's basketball players that have come through this program since, but Tyrus Bainham back in the mid-'80s, the former Nashville East high school standout, who still looks like he could go out and give you 20 right now today, was as good as I've seen in Murphy Center. And they had some great teams, and he was right in the middle of those. That's my number 4.
That means last pick for me. Now, I will admit, I had to go to an outside source, but we're on campus, so I had to text our buddy, friend of the show, and MTSU employee Clay Trainum. He said, you got to mention Isabella Cozon. And again, I didn't get to see her play. I didn't even go to really any volleyball games while I was on campus, but she shattered a lot of individual records. But while she was here, Mo, led MTSU to a Sweet 16, 4 NCAA tournaments, and was multiple-time All-American, Conference Player of the Year a number of times. So Isabella Cozon, MTSU volleyball, I'm really kind of kicking myself for not going to any of their matches back then because they were kind of rolling during a time when football was kind of just getting going under Stockstill. Women's basketball was holding down the fort. There wasn't a ton elsewhere to really get excited about, and I didn't check her out, but apparently she was one of the best to ever do it within that program.
Absolutely. My number 5, I'm going back to women's basketball because, again, when I was here in the mid to late 80s, it was king and still tends to be Kim Webb. She and Jennifer managed to play together on some of those great Lady Raider teams in the mid-'80s, and they were a lethal 1-2 punch in the Ohio Valley Conference. Kim Webb is my number 5. That is Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness, 2 great locations in Middle Tennessee. Be sure and check those out, 1 in Franklin, 1 in Columbia. Whatever shape you're in, Dallas Steel will get you in better shape. So be sure and check him out at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. That's Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports today. Coming to you from Blue Raider Football Media Day.
Man, it was good being out here this afternoon.
It was good, but I will tell you, it's starting to get a little toasty.
It is warming up, and everybody's ducking for cover because, it's only going to get hotter. There's a reason they practice at 7 a.m.
Absolutely. So we're going to take it to the house. Appreciate y'all. I will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I will be joined by David Wilson of the Robertson County Connection because Mr. Neely has other obligations that he's going to be tending to for the rest of the week. So, again, join us 2 o'clock tomorrow right here, Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.